Today we're looking at the artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Here are a few of her famous paintings. We can see flowers in the desert, a seashell in the desert, and a ram's skull. And in this one you can see the sky peeking through the hole right there. Georgia O'Keeffe loved painting flowers. When she was 42, she visited Santa Fe, New Mexico. The colors and the shapes of the land and sky there inspired her. She began painting what she saw. For the next 40 years, O'Keeffe painted scenes of New Mexico. One of her most famous paintings is Ram's Head. New Mexico is known for its art. There are many art galleries, museums, festivals, and artists here. One of the best-known New Mexican artists is Georgia O'Keeffe. You can see more than 1,000 of her works at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in Santa Fe. Walk through the exhibits and see O'Keeffe's famous paintings, drawings, and sculptures up close. The southwestern scenery inspired her work. You may see flowers, bones, rocks, and shells in her art. O'Keeffe often painted the same object many times. You may be able to spot the same flower painted different ways in a single painting. My favorite book to read when learning about Georgia O'Keeffe is this book called My Name is Georgia, a portrait by Jeanette Winter. This book goes through the life of Georgia O'Keeffe, starting when she was born in Wisconsin. She knew she wanted to be an artist since she was 12 years old. She loved to paint sunsets and the sky. She went to New York City. Then she decided that she wanted to move to New Mexico. Here she is in the desert. She loved to collect bones, and then she would paint them. She loved painting the sky too. This says, I painted my sky big so people would see the sky the way I did. From the time Georgia O'Keeffe was a young girl, she saw the world in her own way. At night, she climbed a ladder to the starlit sky to await the sun. She walked the hills at daybreak and in moonlight. She gathered bones and rocks and brought them home to paint. And she always knew what was in her heart, to be an artist. So what we're going to do today is we are going to be drawing a picture of the desert. Here are some examples of how you could draw your desert. Now, one thing when we're doing art, I don't want you to worry about making a mistake. And here's some tips if you do think you made a mistake in your art. First, you can try to turn it into something creative. If you can't think of something to turn it into, just leave it for now and then go back later. Maybe an idea will come to you as you're working on your art. Okay, let's get started on drawing our desert. Get out your marker or pencil or whatever you're going to use to draw your picture. And I'm using a piece of watercolor paper because I'm going to choose to paint my picture when I'm all done. If you don't have watercolor paper, you could always draw it and then color it with crayons or markers. Let's take our cap off of our marker and stick it to the back so we don't have it rolling around our workspace. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start over here on the side of our paper, kind of choose how high up you wanna go. I'm gonna go about right here. And I'm gonna draw a line diagonally on my paper, just like that. Now the other line we're gonna go like this. another diagonal line all the way to the side of your paper. Now what we're doing is we're working on perspective. So when we're drawing our cactuses, we are going to draw them on this line, and they're going to gradually get smaller as they go into the distance. So the ones that are close are going to be bigger, and as they go further back, they're going to get smaller. So let's start with a cactus over here. We're gonna draw one that has 2 arms, just like this. Now yours does not have to look exactly the same as mine. Yours could be a different shape, it could have more arms on it. Now let's do little tiny pricklies, and that's called texture. What we're doing to our cactus is adding its texture, and this is visual. So it's not actually prickly. We're trying to make it look like it's prickly. Okay, now let's add some pricklies kind of inside it. Just little marks. You don't have to think about it too much, just kind of random inside of your cactus. There, now we're gonna do another cactus, but this one has to be a little bit smaller, because see how we're moving back on this line? We need it to be smaller than this one. Now I'm gonna do a different style of cactus. I'm gonna kind of do one that is round, and that has these kind of round shapes like this. And you can even add a flower to it too. I'm gonna add a little on this side. I'm gonna put a flower on this part too. There, see how it's a little bit shorter than that one? Let's add some pricklies, our texture. There, maybe a couple more right here. Okay, now we're gonna add another cactus, but it has to be smaller again. I'm going to make it another one like this. And our texture, our prickles. Okay, let's do maybe 1 or 2 more cactus on here. Add the texture. Let's do 1 more way off into the distance. There, that one's really far away, so it is nice and small. Now what we have to do is we're going to add our horizon line. Our horizon line is going to come from this spot right here. This spot on our picture is called the vanishing point. So as everything gets closer to that, it gets smaller and smaller and vanishes. So we need to put our horizon line from there all the way across our paper. And when we draw that, we want to make sure that we don't put a line right through our cactus. So every time you reach something that you've already drawn, hop over it. See how I'm hopping over? I'm making sure not to draw a line right through my cacti. There. There's my horizon line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw on our horizon line some mountains. You can make them round or pointy. Now remember, anytime you hit something like your cactus that you've already drawn, don't put a line right through it. Make sure you hop over it. So adding some hills or mountains in the background. I'm making these ones pointy and a little bumpy. Okay, I'm gonna do one more back here. I have 3 mountains in my picture. You can add some in the distance too, down here, in between them. Very nice. Okay, now you can work on your sky. You can decide, is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Is the sun setting? Or is it high in the sky? I'm going to make my nighttime. I'm gonna put the moon up in the sky. I'm gonna have it be a full moon. And then later I could even add stars in the sky. I could add clouds. Maybe it's a cloudy nighttime sky. I'm gonna just put one big cloud in the sky right there. Now you can even add extra details, like maybe in the distance there's some birds flying. Maybe down on the sand, maybe there's more plants. Maybe there's an aloe vera plant. Maybe you have a rock over here, and maybe there's a snake hiding. Maybe there's some bones out in the desert. You can put any details that you want in your picture. Maybe there's a tumbleweed. A tumbleweed is just kind of a dried up ball of twigs, so it's just kind of a lot of lines. There's my tumbleweed. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I have added all the details that I want in my picture. If you want to add more to yours, you can definitely do that before you start coloring or painting your picture. And here is my finished artwork. I love how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed drawing your desert today. I hope you added some extra details that are all your own. And I hope you enjoyed learning about Georgia O'Keeffe and her famous paintings.